He's been a staple on our TV screens for over 20 years, and soon he could be a fixture in the White House. Stat reporter Tara Bannow joined us to chart Dr. Oz's journey from daytime TV to a potential cabinet position. Hey, okay, Tara, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start here. Donald Trump wants Dr. Oz to lead the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. What is that, and what does the role entail?
Yeah, it's a huge role. It's a $1.5 trillion agency. So it oversees Medicare, which of course is the program that covers people over 65 and people with disabilities. Medicaid, which is a program for low-income Americans. It also covers the Children's Health Insurance Program, which is for children whose parents are low income. It covers the health insurance. It covers patient privacy laws. It covers the Affordable Care Act exchanges, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Innovation. It houses a lot of different healthcare programs that cover millions and millions of Americans.
You know, Tara, when you go back through previous presidents, I'm not sure anyone can name a previous director of the Medicaid and Medicare services. It's kind of a technocratic position, a bureaucratic but technocratic position. So Dr. Oz's resume, obviously he ran for Senate, became a household name with his TV show. Why does Donald Trump think he's the right person for this role?
Well, that's honestly more of a political question when you think about it, because a lot of I think Trump's nominations come down to who's proven his loyalty to Trump. And as we know, Oz really early on, even when Trump was a presidential candidate, had him on the show and gave him a clean bill of health, based on a piece of paper that Trump handed him. And I think that was a kind of a controversial move, but nonetheless, it really proved his loyalty to Trump. And since then, they've kind of had a relationship. Trump, named Oz to his, council that advises on issues like fitness and nutrition. So yeah, they've been pals, and I think that was the key decider.
Obviously, he endorsed Dr. Oz's run for the U.S. Senate in a Republican primary that helped him get over. And one more piece here, which actually does matter to folks. Dr. Oz has been a huge advocate of privatizing Medicare, which is something you've written about. What role do you think that'll play?
It could play a big role. That's really interesting because you don't typically see CMS nominees taking that kind of a political position on Medicare Advantage. And Medicare Advantage, as you know, it's been a pretty controversial program because there's been a lot of, government agencies, congressional reports, different academic reports that have uncovered quite a bit of fraud in Medicare Advantage. But nonetheless, Oz has proposed, he wrote a Forbes piece back in 2020 proposing a pretty radical Medicare for all proposal, which would have actually put everyone under, private insurance, employer-sponsored insurance, traditional Medicare into Medicare Advantage plans. I don't know if he still would take that kind of approach, but it was a pretty radical idea at the time and still would be.
That's certainly true. Now, while he looks like he's going to be a lock to get this job, the hearings probably will focus on one of his more controversial positions on particularly his recommendations during his TV show days.
So the diet aid is sage leaf tea.
But what role do you think that will play, at least in driving the conversation?
Yeah, it's a bit, I would say, on the periphery of the role that a CMS administrator would play, but it does show, it plays into his character, and it shows that, he was willing to go on his show and peddle things that didn't have the strongest evidence behind them, even knowing, he had millions of viewers every day on his show. So, and there was this congressional subcommittee that he spoke in front of back in 2014, and he really got grilled by a lot of those senators at that hearing. But he held his ground and he said, I believe in these products. So,
well, stat reporter Tara Bannow, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
For daily access to Boston Globe Today, all segments and episodes are available on demand in the Boston Globe app by clicking Watch.